This week's episode is sponsored by the Brilliant Futures Institute. Many times I find that people who share a post or video and it goes viral, it's because they're finally saying what so few people have the courage to say. Welcome to the Preeminence Podcast.
You cannot be a courageous leader if you're not vulnerable.
Your legacy is every life you've touched.
The only thing that changes our life long term is when we raise our standards.
Now is the time to take risk.
The way it's always been done isn't necessarily the way it should be done.
What is your dream? What do you think 2050, 2100 is going to look like?
The most incredible sort of mystery, I think, is now the question of what comes next.
Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Welcome to the Preeminence Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew J. Peters. Visit preeminence.tv to learn more about how to create a preeminent presence for your business, organization, or personal brand. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or just ask Alexa to play the Preeminence Podcast. Today, I have a question and a challenge for you. Will you be willing to be the whistleblower? Are you willing to be the voice of what has been unspoken? Many times I find that people who share a post or a video and it goes viral, it's because they're finally saying what so few people have the courage to say. Think about your industry. Those things that are widely understood in your industry but not shared. The things that you talk about in the quiet corners. The things that people are frustrated with, but they don't say anything out of loyalty to a system, to an industry, to an individual. What are those things that you're not saying? What are the things that you're talking about with other people, you're complaining about with other people, but you're not doing anything about? If you want to go viral, use your voice as the voice to share what may be unpopular. It is going to be very polarizing. And as one of my friends once said, is you have to polarize to magnetize. If you're going to be middle of the road, agree with everyone, you're going to be forgotten. You're just going to be part of the noise. Don't feel embarrassed. If you want to post a video or write something and have it take on a viral nature, make the recipient the hero. When they read it, they want to share it because it's going to make them look good, or they're going to say, finally, someone is talking about this. You are confirming with them what they did not have the courage to say. And with you as a mouthpiece, they're willing to say what needs to be said through you. And they will share your words because they were afraid to say it themselves. Once you do, you'll see people who you had no idea were following you, that they were still listening to you or watching your videos. They will chime in. One caveat I'll say here is refrain from any call to action that has anything to do with your products or services. Because when you do that, it kind of confuses the conversation, makes it less shareable. Think about it this way. If you are sharing something within your industry and you have your little commercial at the end, you might be seen as competition with those people who would have shared it if you just didn't put that little caveat in at the end saying, oh, about my product or about my service. I've done this and I've seen very different results than the times I just spoke what I felt needed to be said and I didn't have any kind of call to action to move forward into working with me. When you do that, it diminishes the power of the post, of that video. If at the most you're going to do on your post, if you have an image, leave the image as is. If you have a video, maybe put your logo down in the corner. If you have an amazing message and then you have your ad at the end, there's going to be people who say, wow, this is great, and they'll just copy you. Or they won't just copy you, they will just take your video and they'll cut off the end when they show it. I see this all the time. So they don't want your ad at the end. But what happens, let's talk about Facebook. When you say something that is powerful because no one else is saying it, you're using your voice as the voice, and people share it, you're going to see that when it's shared around, people know who originally wrote that article. And then they're going to click on it and they're going to see what it is that you do. And it's going to be important how you follow that up. What are you going to follow it up with? So be willing to be your industry's whistleblower. Be willing to give a voice to the things that are unspoken. That is truly powerful. I want to share a post that I had read just the other day by a wonderful woman, Nane Rojas. And she had written this in Spanish originally, and I just did a simple translation here. And here's my post, and I'll start the quote when I get to it here. Some of the most powerful and healing words I've read in a long time. What would your life, your family, and this world look like if we practice this ancient wisdom? And here's the quote. I release my parents from the feeling that they have failed me. I release my children from the need to bring pride to me. They can write their own path according to their heart, which whispers all the time in their ears. I free my partner from obligation. I don't need anything. I learn with all the beings all the time. I thank my grandparents and ancestors who gathered to breathe life today. I release them from the faults of the past and their desires they did not meet, aware that they did the best they could to resolve their situations with the consciousness they had at that time. I honor them. I love them and recognize innocence. I undress my soul before their eyes so they know that I do not hide or owe anything, but I am faithful to myself and to my own existence, that walking with the wisdom of the heart, I am aware that I fulfill my life mission, free of invisible and visible family loyalties that may disturb my peace and happiness, which are my only responsibilities. I renounce the role of savior to be the one who unites or meets the expectations of others. Learning through and alone through love, bless my essence, my way of expressing, even if someone can't understand me. I understand myself because only I have lived and have experienced my story. Because I know myself. I know who I am, what I feel, what I do, and why I do it. I respect and reprove as I am. I honor the divinity in you and me. We are free. End quote. This is an ancient blessing written in the 7th century in the central region of Mexico, which deals with forgiveness, affection, detachment, and liberation. Again, this was shared by Nane Rojas on Facebook. And if I were to go to her Facebook page, I'm going to share with you something interesting. You know, she did not do a advertisement at the end for her work. She didn't lift herself up. She was very raw and real. And she basically said what needed to be said. And because of this, it was shared. So this post right here has 273 likes and loves, 87 comments, and 292 shares. You see, this struck a chord with many people because they realized all these family loyalties. They realized how they were not embodying their mission, being themselves, being true to themselves because, you know what, I'm supposed to be this type of person. But she spoke it. And she was vulnerable enough to put it out there, and people responded and saying, yes, this is me, this is my mission too. This is who I want to become. And they shared it 292 times, and I did myself, because I truly believe in those words of that ancient blessing. Are you willing to be the whistleblower? Are you willing to be the voice to the voiceless? Are you willing to be that inspiration to people because you stand up and stand out and say, this is what I truly believe, who's with me? That's all I have for you today. I look forward to talking with you next week. Thank you for listening to the Preeminence Podcast. Subscribe to hear powerful interviews and insights each week automatically downloaded the moment they go live. Share this episode with your team, your friends, and post it on social media. Let us know your comments and suggestions for the show at m@ascend.net. That's the letter M at ASYND.net.